coming back to the startup there,
Startup, yeah.
I would just say like, okay, if I want to make 200,000 this year, I've got to allocate probably anywhere from 15 to 25%, depending on your area. Like if you're in a real, urban setting that's super competitive, you're going to have to put a little bit more to get yourself up and running versus a
Wow.
rural area.
What's going on, my friend?
Whew, keep them busy.
Good busy or bad busy?
Get busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of good things happening. So it's good. Yeah. We're working with our own kind of new coach with
Okay.
founders board that's Ryan Dice and digital marketers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So
So
it was scalable? Like it's
scalable. There
scalable?
you go. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Okay.
working.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So are you working like just in one of their masterminds or like how does it work?
Yeah. So it's starting one of their intensives.
Okay.
Kind of upgrading our operating system, as they say it, and then
Okay. Okay.
yeah, they're kind of a mastermind group
Okay.
with that too. So yeah, it's going
And
good. So
how involved are they versus like them doing it for you versus like you, how do I say it? Then you doing all the work and like talking to other people and figuring it out, you know?
what's good is I can have up to 7 of my managers on there, so that's very helpful, right? I want to get them
Okay.
trained, so I'm not doing it right,
Okay.
or at least I'm involved but not doing it all. Yeah,
Okay.
and they have good templates, lots of templates, to kind of work off of.
Okay.
So we're working over that, and then
It's a
we have
template for the business, not necessary for the marketing agency, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's going well. Yeah,
Wow.
we just
Wow.
started really, so
Yeah.
so far so good.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's so funny. There's so many of these business coaches out there, and they all kind of offer very similar things. And the amount of DMs I get, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just want someone to come in to do it for you, right?
Yeah.
I just want to hire a hired gun to work with like my VP and just figure it out, please,
Yeah.
right? I don't want your templates to do it myself.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing too. I mean, we have basically like a meeting cadence of about every couple of weeks
Okay.
with the
Like
team
one
there.
on one or with like a group.
Well, no, one on one.
Okay.
One
Okay.
on one with their coach, and basically they're kind of making sure that we're run through the sequence of stuff, right?
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
going. That's good, and kind of giving examples and those kind of things to my team. So that's the nice part, and the
Okay.
resource there. Yeah. So
Wow.
far so good with that.
And how much was that program? Like 30,000, 40,000?
Yeah, it was about, well, yeah, it was about 35 or so,
Yeah. Okay.
with the mastermind and everything, like four
Okay.
events and that kind of stuff
Okay.
too. So
So are you a Ryan Dice fan? Like did you
yeah, I've
implement some
always followed
marketing?
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, got like traffic and conversion summits and those kind of things. So
All
it's
right.
been good following that. And yeah, what I wanted to do too was just keep learning from people that are bigger. And the nice thing with their group too is there's companies in there that are like 50 million, 100 million
Yeah.
companies. So it's
Kind of
different
like where you want to
different
be.
scale. Yeah, like where I
Yeah.
learn from them.
100%. So, wow. I guess the podcast started already. So
I guess so.
that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Oh, geez. You know what? Like I've been doing a few of these one now. I find it that like the best talks are usually the ones before I start pressing play. So now I've decided that the play starts the moment we start.
I love it.
Oh, geez. Actually, on that note, Neil, who would you say is your top like, marketers that you look up to? You mentioned Ryan Dice. Who else is out there that you're like you're a fanboy or you're like, oh wow, like I love, I love their marketing, and their insight and I'm like, and yeah, where they're going or
Yeah.
companies as well, because like HubSpot, for example, right?
Yeah. So there's big companies like HubSpot. They have put out amazing content. They've always put out, really great stuff. I've read their VP of sales put together a really good book too, just on like hiring and all kinds of sales processes there that they did
Yeah.
to establish HubSpot. So that's a really good book. Also, yeah, I like following also. I like marketing, but I also like sales side of things too. I've been handling
Oh
sales
yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Like who? Give me a list and it's
Jeremy
comparable.
Miner is one of my favorite there. I don't know if you
Who?
Jeremy Miner.
Apparently mine. No, no, who's
Yeah, he's
that?
with his company's called Seventh Level Sales Training, and
Okay.
uh based on a lot of stuff based off of kind of neuropsychology and those kind of
Oh,
things. So
this
it's
is the this is the physio in you now. Like you want the science. You
that's
want the
right.
science
Give me the
aspect of.
science, yeah, not the stuff. So yeah, I like his stuff a lot. He has some great ways. It just, I think that they cover any kind of business, right?
Okay.
And whether you're a medical practice or you're selling,
Yeah.
widgets,
Yeah.
your team needs to know how to sell. And a
Yeah.
lot of it is it's just it's not, and people have gotten used to that kind of used car salesman
Yeah.
mentality, right? But
Such a dirty word, like
it
just the word
is, but
sales,
the reality is that you're just helping people, right? And it's a lot of it's how you're using questions, right,
Yeah.
to get them through a decision process, right? Same thing we do
Yeah.
with our patients all the time, right? We ask a lot of questions to get through a decision process.
Well, we talk about this a lot, like, you're constantly selling whether like you know it or not. Like you're selling your vision when you hire someone. You're selling for that physio or that chiro to come work for you, right? You're
Exactly.
selling that patient that plan of care for them to book like their 10 visits, not the three.
Yeah.
You're selling that you're actually the best provider for their actually paying. And you're selling, at your staff meetings to get your staff to like align for like what's going to happen next year. And so like the people who actually don't understand that and they're like, I don't like to sell, like I'm like, well, you're not a business person then.
Yeah, and it's also like if you think about sometimes if you think about marketing in a way, right, you're really selling online, right, or selling the attraction to you, right, what you're trying to help people solve problems and question and help them with questions. And a lot of times some of the best marketing content and copy asks a lot of questions in there. So, right,
Yeah.
have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about that way, right?
Yeah.
Is your back, could it be this cause, right? So it gets people thinking in a different direction.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm a marketing and sales geek. I think I'm more of a marketing geek, but I was turned into more of a sales geek. But I remember the first my first marketing conference I went to was HubSpot, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the HubSpot inbound conference. It was 14,000 marketers. It was like this candy shop for marketers, right? And so that was when I went there. I was like, oh my gosh, like I get it, marketing automation. And then like, that funnel that everyone uses like everywhere in their business, right? Like inbound, right? And that was like the beginning of my marketing journey. I was like, oh my God, this is like insane. And then like, and so I love all the like HubSpot inbound stuff, we're using them. They're very expensive. I spend a lot of money with them right now. It's a very expensive marketing system. And then I got into like ClickFunnels, right? So then I
Yep.
ended up being like a Russell Brunson fanboy, and his whole thing is about how do you position yourself as an expert, to build a tribe and a community. And then all these people like follow you and I loved it to a T. And I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? And then the third thing, more recently, I got into is it Hermosi?
I don't think I've heard of that person before.
Oh my gosh,
All
this
right,
guy's
that's a new one.
insane.
All right.
Yes, this guy is insane. If you follow him, on Instagram, like he's just built this massive like brand. Like he has like a couple of million like Instagram like followers, and he teaches people how to sell, right?
Hmm.
And we're doing some of this stuff right now. Part of like the way he sells now is he like really, like he has this thing where like, there's four types of like people you go after, and one of them is called warm outreach, right? But for the warm outreach, he's like a big proponent of like just selling through DMs and just like small, quick conversations through email.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're pretty much selling or marketing or qualifying that lead before they actually call your business or they jump on a demo with your sales team, right?
Yeah.
And like the scripts they use are super small. It's more like DM style versus
Right.
your
Well, it makes
typical
sense.
like
Yeah.
Ryan Dice or Dan Kennedy or like, like those long direct mail. You're like, oh my God, like I gotta
Yeah.
keep on scrolling.
I think that you kind of have to look at the behaviors of people, right? That's really what you're doing with marketing is kind of
Yeah.
modifying people's behaviors, right? So if you really know the people that the first rule is right, know your audience, right? Who you're trying to talk to. So if you know your audience, and let's say if you're in a clinic, right? Say if you're really trying to target a lot of athletes, young athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, all those kind of folks, right? You got to go where they're at, and they're going to be a lot on social media. But
Mm.
they've got a attention span of like 1 second. So those that kind of DM style, right, where it's like one question, two questions in there, or a
Yeah.
flash of a tidbit, something like that. That's what they're looking for, right? So you
Yeah.
gotta match them where they're at, and then they start to have those like, oh, let me see what this person's about.
Yeah.
They'll go do the research, and then they can get into long form copy from there.
Yeah. 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 That's exactly it. We've been testing stuff. It's been pretty cool, So for the people who don't know Neil, Neil is a practice owner, but he's also has helped over like 1,400 like clinics, like have their website and their marketing. And so I'm just curious, Neil, like what are some of the marketing trends that you're seeing right now, like in the profession, like for the clinic owners? Like what are the things that clinic owners need to like kind of pay attention that are trends that are happening?
Mhm. Yeah, especially in the medical space, there's definitely the trend towards digital advertising, right?
Yeah.
And if we look at where Facebook has gone, if we look at where Instagram has gone, if we look at where Google has gone, they make their money by getting people to pay for ads, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about the old days, you used to have, a billboard or a park bench or something like that where you put your stuff up. In today's world, it's really about the digital advertising side of it. And back in the first days of Facebook, it was really about building groups and building your community there, and you had great opportunities to get in front of people. But of course, that got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So Facebook only shows you to a certain small percentage of your total potential audience, because their model is to get you to pay, right? So if you can start to really master and budget for where digital advertising fits into your practice, that can really start to get you in front of a lot of people in your community.
Yeah.
But it's using them in a wise way, right? So with when it comes to social media type advertising, the goal there is really kind of a broad more awareness, because you are playing where people go for entertainment, right? So they're not necessarily looking for that solution at that specific spot, but they come across your ad, they come across your information, they start to go, oh, what's this, right? And then you can move them down into some other mechanism, to a landing page or your website or some way to start connecting with you. With Google advertising, that's when people are looking for some sort of solution or idea. So it's a little bit more intent based, search. So
I think we talked about that like, a couple of weeks ago too, where like Google is like intent based. So people are saying, I want this
yeah,
solution comes up, whereas like you said, you're on social media, where Facebook, you're scrolling down. It's like, what do they call it? Like interruption marketing. So you got to interrupt them while they're enjoying looking family photos of like, like
right.
they're like creeping on their, like on their, old high school loving, and you got to have something that interrupts them to look at your ad, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I've I've been an entrepreneur now for like, gosh, 23 years, right? So seen a lot change in that time. Gosh, when I started with like, I did my own website, there was no
Yeah.
Facebook or anything like that. And then working with practices in their marketing for over 13 years now, huge changes in the landscape there. What I'm really excited about is that I do see more and more practice owners paying attention to what their digital presence looks like, right? And
Yeah.
so they're not necessarily just looking at what the one thing, right? I'm not just looking at Facebook advertising. I'm looking at how my whole practice looks online, right? Because
Across
again,
all
let's
those
face it,
channels, right? Right?
all the channels, right? And if you think about too, for a
So
lot of
list them, Neil. Like what would those channels be? Like what are when you talk about it, like what would you say are the top five that everyone should like a must have? because there's a lot, and you could get super overwhelmed of, where to start.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for practice owner too, like keep it simple, right? So think about first off is your website. That's like your digital online storefront. So if people are walking by in the physical world, if you don't have a very nice storefront, it's not going to attract people into the business. So your website really is sort of this foundation of everything else that works. So your
Yeah.
website really needs to showcase your patient experience, what you do for people, and then there's a lot of complex side of it too, to like how that gets searched. But your website is really that foundation, and then I would say start to work on your different key local type search profile. So Google Business Profile is huge. That's we talked about that in our last chat there, but that's a key area for you to work on. It's super simple, lots of pictures. Make sure all your information there. Keep posting fresh content,
Right now,
category
like if you put as
reviews.
much energy as doing Instagram that doesn't work, and you put in Google My Business
Right.
Profile, right? You would get
Absolutely.
the calls and traffic to your website. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think in the past, let's say the past 5 or 7 years, there was a lot of excitement around
Yeah.
social media being newer and a great way to connect with people, and it was easier back then than it is today
Yeah.
to connect with people, right? You didn't have to pay as much for it, but that's changed, right? But Google Business Profile is a very underutilized tool that very easy for
Okay.
practice owners to leverage, right? So there's that one, and of course you want to have good social profiles, right? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is a key area too. We talked about Google
All three?
reviews.
All three are essential, or like you could just get away with Instagram and or just LinkedIn.
It depends on your audience, right? So, I mean, if you're going to be a lot of practices work with middle-aged people and up,
Okay.
right? And they have some like younger demographics that they work with, but
35,
predominantly,
35, 50, right?
yeah. I mean, we all start to get older, arthritis, things start to happen, right? You're more brittle as you get older. We're all feeling that. But that's one of the key things. So Facebook ends up being a better resource for some of those type of clinics, right? So you may
Yeah.
not want to put all your efforts into just Instagram because your audience is playing still a lot on Facebook. So yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think again is an area where um, that is pretty underutilized in a clinic. So people are wanting to recruit more today than ever before.
Yeah.
That's a great place for you to really build out your profile and connect with other therapists in the area that could come work for you, right?
Yeah.
The other part of LinkedIn that I liked is that a lot of physicians are on there. So if you want
Yeah.
to build your physician network, you don't even have to like go past the front desk. You can start talking, send a
Yep.
direct mail LinkedIn wise to a physician that you may know or wanted to chat to for a long time. So I think LinkedIn is an area that could be used more by clinicians and practice owners for sure there.
Yeah, a lot of people in our community use like LinkedIn for recruitment, but also to do more like collaborations with different other businesses, whether it's content collaboration or like they are doing marketing collaboration together.
Yep.
And yeah, the doctor marketing stuff, right? For the ones who are actually in there, right? So what else?
Yeah.
Like, would you say that those five is the key basics? Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we get into what we want to work with our patient communications and keeping our building our community, right,
Yeah.
of people that we service and leveraging those for referrals and repeat business, and that a lot of that comes back to email marketing. So having a very
Yeah.
good email system that has automation in it that can help you out, but also great content that you can keep connected with and build upon your patient list or your business list.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's the crappiest like marketing or website you've seen lately?
Oh
The
man,
crappiest.
the crappiest, gosh.
You don't have to put names, right? But like
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys, I'm sure this comes up like each week when you look at like customers' profiles, like how they do
yeah.
marketing or how they,
One
yeah.
comes to mind, and you know, it, it was funny because it really looked like it was built from 2005.
Okay.
Probably on some old ancient Microsoft software platform, but um, the person, what I hear sometimes is, especially from local, smaller, rural communities, that they've have a good, just name. They've been there forever, and they're like, oh, I never had to market before, right? So I just had my website done 15 years ago, and I've never touched it since.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will occasionally get one of those
Those
roll in there.
DOS-based websites, where it's
Yeah,
like just text-based with like the yellow and blue, like is that what
right.
you,
Exactly.
I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and the kind of like square frame, like there's
yes.
the sides to it and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and,
I see a
and
lot of
what I find,
chiropractic websites have that, eh? Like I like a lot do you see because you work with chiro, physios, and massage, like do you like of all the profession of these three professions, who have the most like outdated websites, you think? Or they're all equally pretty outdated?
um, it's a mixed bag. It really is.
Okay.
What I do find is that the clinics that are multidisciplined, that have chiro, they have physio, they have acupuncture,
Yes.
like all these different things within them, they tend to be a little bit more advanced, right?
Because
They're
they probably have more revenue coming in the clinic. It's just not
Yeah, there's
one.
a little bit more revenue. They know
Yeah.
they need to market for the different disciplines within the business
Yeah.
because there's more demand, right, for marketing there. So I do see that they tend to be a little bit more, on the cutting edge, if you will.
And Neil, what like I've seen so much crappy websites, even I'll tell you two types of crappy websites that I see, right? Like I'm not gonna talk about the DOS-based websites, because like those ones are like ancient, like those ones I agree, but like I've seen modern websites that are crappy,
Yeah.
right? And one comes to mind is like there's this like stock photo that everyone uses. It's like this Asian runner running
Yeah.
on along the street with like hair, and she's young, and like she looks like half Asian, or she's like, what photo I'm talking
He's
about?
been
And the back
everywhere.
there's
Yeah.
like butterflies, and she's
Yeah,
running.
yeah.
And but then also if you'll see her like in cooking ads too. You'll see and so I'm just like, when I see people like spend all this money building a website and it's just littered with like stock photos, and they don't show real photos of the people behind the business of what really happens.
Hmm.
I'm like, why? It's like,
Yeah.
like, yeah. And once again, like every time I see stock photos, I cringe, So I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what's your thoughts about websites that have stock photos versus like real authentic photos, right?
The more authentic you can make your website, the more people you're going to attract. That's just the bottom line. And we love working with practices that put the effort into getting the photography and the videography within the clinic. You have to. And what I there's this kind of it almost falls into two categories of practice owners that come across. One is the kind of overwhelmed, trying to do everything themselves, and they really don't have much time or effort that they're putting into the market. And like, you just do everything for me, right? And so you really don't have any ammo to work with, because they haven't built any ammo internally, and then you have to use a lot of stock photography, right? And they don't really care that much about the content in there, and they just kind of like, hey, it looks pretty, it looks good, it's going to get me a lot of new patients. Then you got the other category, which are really involved and done a fantastic job. They know that capturing that essence of what's going on in their practice to show and have that ammunition for marketing is really key. So they put a lot of effort into getting pictures within the clinic, therapists working with patients. They do a lot of effort in YouTube videos, all kinds of different things like that. Those clinics do fantastic, because again, when people are looking at those websites, they're like, hey, this is a real place, that looks amazing, look at how they're treating those patients, they could help me,
Yeah.
right?
Like
So
when you see that photo, you're like, hey, that could be me, or is like, yep, I want to see that person,
yeah, so as a practice owner, I think one thing to understand is like, you cannot be hands off with marketing in your practice, right?
Yeah.
You work with a website company, you work with a marketing agency to help you,
Yeah.
with the technical stuff to portray your vision, but there's also a responsibility on you to
Yeah.
showcase, your specialties in your practice and what you're all about, tell your story out there to the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So the second types of websites I hate, Neil, are the ones where they built it so visually, like it looks like a tech business, It looks like there's no words, everything is just like fonts, and it just looks so beautiful, and like things kind of move around,
Yeah,
but Google can't find you.
right.
Like there's no content on there for them to crawl. So like it's great you got this beautiful website that has videos and like things like move and it feels good, right? But there's no content on there that has any marketing principles, sales principle, and it's like, and Google can't search anything on it because there's no copy on there. Like,
Yeah.
Neil, you agree
Yeah.
or no?
Absolutely. You can have a beautiful website, but that's only half of it, right? And you're saying Google's not going to find you. It's not going to connect with people that are, well, first, if they do find you and visit you, then they're not going to connect very well. It's going to look pretty. But that comes back to like the company that's done it, or, they might have someone who's very, as a graphic designer, really into that kind of flavor, right? And they don't
Yes.
really have the kind of marketing background to understand SEO, content, sales type copy. So you're missing that component. You just have this prettiness,
This
graphic.
branded website, like
Yeah,
built like Nike or Apple. Yes,
yeah,
that's a good example. It's like an Apple website,
yeah.
right? It's
Just stay away
simple
from a
and
company that's
minimalistic.
all about branding, because you're gonna blow a lot of money and not get much out of it.
So let me ask you, would you rather have a shitty website that has high traffic, right? Like, right? Like an
Yeah.
ugly website that has high traffic, or like this beautiful branded website that has no traffic?
I wouldn't want either. But if I had to, I would go with the law of numbers, right? So if you can
Yes.
get the volume of people in there, you're going to get a certain percentage of people that will call the clinic and move forward. But ideally, you need the best of both worlds. You need the type of website that's going to get the traffic in there because it has the right content, it has the right structure, the coding, all those kind of things that Google really likes.
Yeah.
And then it can really speak to the person, be patient centric, right? Speak to their pains and problems, show them. The main thing with the website too is that you have to be able to show the person's transformation by coming to you.
Yeah.
That's really it, right? So if you can portray
Sure.
that with the right imagery, the language, the titles, the content, like you show that transformation they're going to have by coming to you, you're going to have the phones ringing off the hook.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, yeah, when like if I was gonna ask myself that question, I would have that website that has a shitload of traffic. That's a shitty website,
Mm-hmm.
because then I could at least convert it into like something
You do
more.
something with it, yeah.
I could do something with it, right? So if you're so anyways, like the reason I bring this up is that I think I shared my journey with Pain Hero, like Pain Hero, which is a website that we started a few years ago. Like last week we hit 10,000 unique visitors a week, right? So in a
Awesome.
month is 40,000, right?
Yeah.
And we went with that principle, Neil. We went for traffic first,
Yeah.
right? And now we're like, okay, now let's work on conversions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
work
I
on
like
making it more branded and beautiful.
it.
And so, like, my advice, obviously, like, an ideal world, you want both, right? But
Mhm.
like, as a marketer, I hands on want traffic first. And then, like, once I get the traffic, I'm gonna find ways to like convert it and like do it. But like, if I can get the traffic, it doesn't matter how great and beautiful my website is, because it's not gonna do anything. And like, I'm gonna be like, there's no ROI, right?
Yeah, I think too, like you just, what you're looking at there is the metrics, right? And you really have to look at the metrics of your website, because it's easy for us to fall in love with our website and we like it and we're seeing it from our viewpoint, but we really got to look at the numbers. Like, so how many people are coming to it on a monthly basis? How long are they staying on the page? How many pages are they looking at? How many people from that are actually, clicking on the book appointment link, how many people are calling from that website. So if we have that kind of data, that information, it can tell us a lot about, hey, is this website, one, bringing a lot of people to it? And if it is, how many of those people are actually going to be turning into a customer?
Yeah. Hey, Neil, it's interesting. Like you just threw a lot of metrics. As marketers, like I love as many metrics as possible, right? But I would say that for majority of these clinic owners, the only metric I would say that they really care at the end of the day, at least that's what we preach in the community, is how many leads do they generate,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the different channels, right? Right.
Yeah.
And so that's marketing's job. How many calls or how many forms or how many online bookings did they actually get through your marketing across all the different like platforms, and you can start measuring what is my cost per call or cost per lead, like is it $30 or $50, right?
Yeah.
And then the next component is that like, you know, um, like marketing, whether you use Neil's agency or someone else's, like they generate you like 100 leads last month, right? What did your front desk do to convert those leads into appointments? Are they closing at 5 out of the 10 calls? Or are they closing 8 of those 10 calls?
Mm-hmm.
Because I see a lot of blame that marketing doesn't work, or like marketing agencies don't work. Like they say my like impressions are up, my click-through rates are up, my unique
Yeah.
visitor does, but my appointment's still empty,
Yeah.
right? Or my schedule is not there. And I think a lot of times the owners don't take that responsibility. Oh my God, like when it comes to like sales and front desk like conversions, like
Mm-hmm.
that's on you, right?
Yeah, it's kind of two front there because there are, I see it. There's a lot of company. Everybody and their mother seems to have a digital, marketing agency. It's pretty simple to do these days, from a very small standpoint. Um, and what you'll get there is like, hey, we'll get you, 50 leads in this
Yeah.
month, right? And you can just put a form up on, your Facebook ad, and you're getting some leads coming in there, they're counting that. But it's a lot of people that have no interest really in what you're doing. They just kind of signed up for something.
50,
So
50 leads from Russia or 50 leads from like India, right?
right.
They're not even in your geography.
I got you all these leads, right? They're out in
They're
Uzbekistan or
not
something.
qualified leads. They don't even live in your area.
So you have to kind of watch that too, because you can get a lot of leads in, but
Yeah. The
then
quality of the leads. Yeah.
the quality of leads is like they have no interest, right? Those people
Yeah.
have no interest in coming in. So yeah, your front desk can't convert those people, right?
Yeah.
But you have the people that come in that are decent lead. You're absolutely right that your front desk is a critical point. Can they sell, that person coming into, based off of, their what they're shopping around, their pain and problem condition,
Yeah.
insurance that they might have, all these kind of factors, right? They have to be able to overcome those barriers.
Yeah. Wow. That was some massive gems there. What's some of the like best like patient marketing you've seen lately, that you want to share? Like what you've seen some clinics or practices do that kind of caught your eye? Or
Yeah, I did a podcast yesterday with David Lott, right? And so Lott Physical Therapy, and they're in Texas, and he's done a phenomenal job. He's got a great mindset for patient experience, and I love the way that he's approached this. A lot of this kind of fundamental why we're doing this in the clinic, right? So explaining that to his team, like, why are we doing this, right? We're trying to really get people out of pain, and like we need to help the community understand like how we're helping all these people. So he's done a really good job. I think he's got like 800 online reviews for his
yeah.
clinics, right? Which is amazing, right? I really don't, I rarely see that volume of reviews for a clinic, but he's got a really good mechanisms, internally, just
Yeah.
for keeping the team. And it's not like, hey, we have to get a lot of Google reviews. He's kind of baked it more into his process of, hey, here's how we help people. He had cool things like QR codes on the name badges of
Yeah.
people, so that the patient could just scan the QR code on their name badge to go leave a
Okay.
review, like all kinds of cool stuff that he did. So yeah, I have a podcast coming out on that with his interview, but that's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while.
What, the
Just
QR codes, like the campaign itself, or like
yeah,
what?
yeah, kind of the QR codes, the really more of the, obviously it has it has some great automation softwares and tools and systems from an email perspective. But the key with online reviews too is really when you're asking it. So not necessarily waiting till the end of therapy for people to ask, but more of when they've had that big transformation, visit, like might be halfway through, like, hey, I'm out of pain now. This is amazing. They're not quite strong yet or whatever, but
The
yeah, that
first big win, right?
that first big win. Yeah. So he's got a great process that he's really built out over time for that. So that's one of the best I've seen in a while.
What about from a lead gen side, about getting leads?
From a lead gen side of things, I've seen clinics. We have some clients that have done really well with Google Ads. They get very high quality traffic in there. It's kind of like this twofold. One is that their website is doing very good at converting people, and it's also then very well ranked on Google. That makes their cost very low per click and conversion from their Google Ads. And so when they have those kind of best of both worlds, where their Google Ads are really dialed in, and then their website's really dialed in from an SEO standpoint, the cost per lead has been very low, and their volume of leads coming in from that has been quite high.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. It sounds like all the different like pathways and channels are like very optimized, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Have you heard of Stretch Labs before, Neil?
Yeah, there's actually one that's coming down the street from me.
Okay. Do you understand their business model or no?
I have not really looked into that business model, but a good
Okay.
stretching sounds good to me.
We have someone in our community who is a franchise partner, and they're just opening up a few more. And like it's insane like how they market and their growth, right?
Mhm.
And if you understand their model is it's really just assisted stretching
Yeah,
by non-professionals. They just hire I don't want to bastardize because I don't they just hire like non-medical people like that
like a
look
personal
really good,
trainer
like
type certificate or something like
exactly.
that. Yeah, yeah,
And you pay them whatever, like 20, $30 an hour, and they just do like assisted stretching.
it's a great concept. Yeah, absolutely.
And then when they market, like people get it, right?
Yeah,
Like like when you market physical therapy, people are like, huh?
right.
Or like when you market like chiropractics, like what? Like you associate with like, like wrecking your spine or something, right? Or,
Yeah,
which is not necessarily is not true, but like there's or like physical therapy, they don't know what that is, massage they get, it's like, yeah, you do
yeah,
this, right? But when they market like stretch labs, they're like, I get it. I could do a stretch, just like what you said. I
yeah.
could do a stretch.
Well,
This franchise,
everybody knows that they feel better after stretching,
yeah, this
right?
this this franchise owner that I knew, like, all he did was just like a few Facebook ads and did community events and
Hmm.
just did these like assisted stretching like demos, like and in 6 months they started from scratch and hit 1 million. It was
Wow,
insane.
that's awesome.
Do you ever hear a clinic do that?
Oh no, no, because yeah, I mean, you got one simple concept, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it doesn't matter really what body part. The concept is stretching, right? So stretching to feel better. Very
Check out
simple.
this clever
Works.
ad that they had, you know. So this showed up like this is in their Instagram, like, but check this out. So
That's
like
it's funny too,
wake
like
up.
because it's like people can
Can you
relate to it,
imagine
right?
like can you imagine you scrolling and you see like all of a sudden like your calendar and this like totally like look at this. Well, look what it says here, right?
You'll lay down and try to ignore the pain.
Isn't this
I
so
love
clever?
it. It's a clever one. I love it.
It's just so
Yeah.
clever. And I'm just like, like, and so you're having like, and here's the thing, like why I think like whether you're a physical therapist or chiropractic massage therapist, you really have to up your like marketing because you got everyone else that
Hmm.
are trying to creep into your space.
Yeah.
Every single allied healthcare person is solving the exact same thing because people are not buying physical therapy. They're not buying chiropractic. They're buying like a solution to like their back pain because they want to play pickleball again, right?
Hmm. Absolutely.
And Stretch Labs is a solution,
Hmm.
or a chiro, or a physio, or a naturopath, or an osteopath, or a body worker, right?
Yeah.
Or even a foot massage therapist, like, one of those ghetto ones you see from like, yeah, anyways, like those Thai ones, right? Or the Chinese that charge $20, an hour, right? They're all going after the same pool of like people, no?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the marketing, like, the marketing is a big deal, right?
I think a concept like that would be fantastic to bring into a clinic, right? Because one thing I've always seen clinics struggle with is, they provide that service for a specific set of time, right?
Yeah,
You might be in for like 3-4 weeks, and you're out of your injury, and then you're
yeah,
like, okay, bye bye, right? But you need to get like we all want to keep that person on to get them, keep working on their strength, keep working on their flexibility. So if you had something like a Stretch Labs built within to your practice, it's a great subscription model for people to continue care,
yes.
right? Super simple
100%.
too.
Yeah.
And it's what a lot of people want. So
Yeah,
I
we
think
got
it's
we
a
got
great
a few
concept.
clinics in our community who are using call it stretch clinics or stretch labs as like lead gen, but also as a subscription based, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like a good hook. So let's talk about marketing budget. Okay. As a marketing agency, like of course you want them to spend a lot, but practically not everyone has money to do it. Okay. So let's talk and I get this question a lot. Like everyone is fixated on a percentage, Rick, what percentage should I spend on marketing? Right. And then, but like I wanna hear from you,
Yeah.
right? And there's two things I want you to consider, right? One, when I think about marketing, I'm thinking about both online and offline. Okay.
Hmm.
Like the whole budget, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
Salaries, all that kind
And
of stuff.
and the second thing we need to consider is the different stages the business is in,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, like a startup is going to spend their marketing very different because like they are losing money and like, and they got to pay the bills or they can't pay mortgage or rent, So
Right.
the ROI needs to like happen, Otherwise like they're dead in the water, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then it's going to be like, your clinic that hits your first like 500,000. So that's kind of your break even point, right?
Hmm.
And then the next stage is where like they go from 5 to 1 million and then million beyond, right? So let's talk about a startup, okay?
Okay.
So um, Neil, like what if I have a clinic owner that comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm starting up a clinic. What should I allocate for marketing for like a startup? Like, what what would you say?"
Yeah.
And
So I'm a fan of percentages. If and there's factors here, right? So you need to know like what is typical in a business, like what do businesses typically spend towards their marketing. So you have that understanding, and are you comparative to that? Marketing always comes back to your return on investment. So you need to know what is working, and if you're wasting money on things that are not working, then don't do those, right? But do put money into what is going to work and what's going to get you off the ground. A startup is going to be the time when you're going to spend the most marketing dollars to the percentage of what you're bringing in. And we're all kind of bootstrapping it through this phase, right? But no one knows you in the area, right? You got to get out of this unknown situation. So it's going to take a little bit of money towards that. And where I've seen practices struggle is when they really try to just do everything themselves. They haven't allocated really any budget towards marketing, and they just think, hey, I'm going to get going and I'll just go by word of mouth.
yeah,
Some clinicians can make that happen if they're an exceptional clinician and a good salesperson, and others struggle, right? The ones I have seen be super successful is they do put that marketing budget into their business plan. Like, how am I going to get started up here? What is my income that I want to make in my first year of practice? Maybe it's 100,000, maybe it's $200,000. Okay, well,
let's say it's 200,000. Like,
yeah, let's just say it's
let's just say
200,000.
200. So
What?
how should they allocate $200,000?
Yeah, so again, coming back to a percentage wise, industry in the United States, the Small Business Association across all different industries, the average is about 11% of what a business makes goes towards marketing activities, right?
Okay.
Whether it's advertising, salaries, those kind of things, right? In healthcare, the average is about 8%, right? Now, with a startup business,
Are your 1,400 clients doing 8%, or you
some
think,
are, some are not.
okay,
Right? I
what do you
would say,
think
as
your
a
average
rule,
is?
what I find is that most practices are really very under 5%. They're usually
Okay.
like 2%, right? They're
Okay.
they're
So you think all your clients, if you add it all up, they're probably at 2-3%. Is that what you're saying?
I'd say a bit more than that. Our clients are they get
Okay.
into that power position, but like ones that are coming in, they're maybe around 2 or 3%, right? That's
Okay.
kind of like an average there. But I would say, coming back to the startup there,
Startup. Yeah.
I would just say, like, okay, if I want to make 200,000 this year, I've got to allocate probably anywhere from 15 to 25%, depending on your area. Like, if you're in a real, urban setting that's super competitive, you're going to have to put a little bit more to get yourself up and running versus a
Wow.
rural area where you can do some more community-based stuff, right?
15 to 25%. Let's put this in perspective too. The profit margin of a clinic is like what in the US is probably like 20%,
Or less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
like
you
10 to
take
15, maybe.
yeah, so if you're asking for 15, like I'm trying to be devil's advocate, right?
Oh, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first year is always the hardest, right?
Okay. Actually, let's back up. You're
Yeah.
right. Like what we're talking was very different, like once you're $1 million business. But let's go back to startup because I think I'm jumping ahead. At
Yeah.
jump up, I agree. In the very beginning, you do have to spend a whack load of money so you could get new patients at the door, so you could get busy enough so that like you can actually generate word of mouth, right? You know,
Right. Yeah.
because you don't generate word of mouth,
Yeah.
you know, because word of mouth usually happens after like they come see you like, you know, like after a couple years, you know,
Mhm.
like it's not like you're seeing them every month, you know, you see
Yeah.
them maybe
But
once.
there's things that you're going to invest in that are going to last a little while. So for example, like, you know, a startup business, you got to get a good website going. So like
Okay. So what would you do?
like
Website?
don't do a Wix website from the start
What
and
about ClickFunnels
struggle.
website? What about ClickFunnels website? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. All right. So you got to get, so spend on a
A good
website.
website from the start, but that investment is something that's going to pay, you know, 2 or 3 years, right?
Okay, let me ask
Of
you.
investment.
So is the website like once again, I'm trying to like I want to make sure that like as a startup, like I'm making a bolt, like I could pay the bills too, right? You know, I
Yeah.
want some of
So
the ROI. And so a lot of times I get the questions like, yes, I could get a website, but should I wait to do my SEO? Right? Because like to spend money for SEO is also an investment where like you're not gonna get an ROI right away. So would you say that a startup should do SEO in addition to a website, or you should wait and so that like they could do stuff that will give you more of a immediate ROI?
So yeah, so there's the thing here is it's you're talking a long-term game versus a short-term game. All right. So putting the website together is critical, right? That's your online storefront.
Yeah.
Your SEO, it 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 can get you a lot, but it takes a little bit of time. All right.
Yeah.
Especially as a brand new
Years.
business, Google's got to start to trust you, right? It takes
Years,
a little
right?
bit of
Neil?
no,
Years.
it's something that you could really get going within about a 3 to 6 month period.
No,
Uh,
I don't think
if it's
so.
a small local practice, right?
Yes, with no competition, yes, I agree. You're the
um,
only
I
clinic
mean,
set
we've
up.
helped some startups and they're up at number one, you know, within about 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
So
So are you
it
so you're
depends on the
saying
area. Depends
so
on
you're
the
saying
area.
that out of your 15-25% like a budget, you should do SEO. Is that what you're saying?
Website, SEO, and so here's the thing: SEO is going to help you pay off in 3 to 6 months time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What else?
Google Ads is something that you could start, and within a month, you're starting to see
Okay.
the
Google
return.
Ads.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then of course, you know, you've got Facebook ads, those kind of things too that could start that too. So those are kind of your short-term
Are
short-term
you
gain.
seeing effective conversions through Facebook ads? Like, to be honest?
I mean, not like you used to. That I mean, if
Okay.
I was going to say if you're going to put the money, because we have that limited amount of money at the beginning,
We got a limited amount of money because
I would put it in Google Ads because that's where people are going that
intent
are
search. Yeah.
intent-based search. Yeah.
Okay. What up? So that's all online, you know. What about
Mhm.
offline?
Yeah, offline, there's what community
Or you
events.
don't believe in offline because you're an online company.
No, we do 4 million direct mail pieces a year for practices all around the country. So we do a lot of direct mail, you know, prescription pads, things that people will
Okay.
hand out. So yeah, I mean, have good collateral material. Like you need a
Yeah.
good brochure, you need good script pads. You can start, you know, knocking on physicians' doors, making rounds, making relationships
Okay.
that way.
So this
What?
is community marketing, right?
Yeah, community marketing, right?
Community
What?
marketing, and which includes what then in this case?
So that would be business networks, right? So like Chamber
Okay.
of Commerce and all that kind of stuff. What can they link back to your website? Where can you develop relationships with other partners?
Okay.
Then you've got
You got docs, right? You know,
yeah,
right?
your docs, your physician networks.
Okay.
Then you've got like your community networks. So, you know, if you can work with a local like high school or
Yeah.
if there's a soccer association or, you know, all these
Yeah.
kind of different community networks that you could start to tap
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And do presentations, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Doing content collabs with different local businesses, right?
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, workshops, all kinds of things like that.
So that's where you allocate in that order then, like website, SEO, Google Ads, and community marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. And for community marketing, you need like the collateral, which is like all the print stuff, the referral
Sure.
pads,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
And would you spend the money to do the postcards, like the direct mail, or you would wait for later? Because
I would
that
wait for that. I would wait for that. Just because, you know, it depends on your business. So like for chiropractic, it's a little bit better understood in the
yeah,
public, right? Like, oh, you can have a postcard direct mail that would go out for, you know, suffering with back or neck pain, right?
yeah,
People physiotherapy or physical therapy, it's a little more unknown in terms of
People don't
what
know what it
exactly you
is,
would
you
go
know?
for,
Like
right? So,
you should change it
so
just to the stretch labs,
yeah, so right there you go. So direct mail marketing to a cold audience is a lot more challenging for physio or physical therapy. However, for your customer base, it's super powerful, right? If you're doing it the right way.
Mm,
So yeah, but I would say first from a brand new startup, start with the online stuff first. The
okay.
core is like your website, Google SEO, your Google ads. Those are really critical.
Okay. All right. So let me share a story. Since I love stories, right, Neil? I just met this clinical in our community. He just started a clinic from scratch in Vancouver on the busiest intersection of Vancouver that has like a dozens of clinics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like within 3 months, he started seeing 8 patients a week, right? And I asked him, I was like, "What did you do?" Right? Guess what? Guess what his order is?
What?
Website, okay? The community marketing. But for the community marketing, he was doing treatment swaps with other like local influencers, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So with like the personal trainer, with the massage therapist,
Mm-hmm.
with the naturopath, right? And also with like that like really cool like barber nearby, like like people that have relations with other people in the community, right?
Yeah.
They were just sending people over, like just like over time, and he would just like take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the third thing that he did that really took off was he just got super active and engaged in these local Facebook groups in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
The community group, and his community, like every area has like a community group, and
Right.
then he
Right.
got into like that. There's a general community group, and then there's like a pickleball for that community. There is like a running one. Like he just went in there not to like sell, but just to add value and just like get super engaged, and then drive like traffic back into, oh, you could check out my blog on this, blah blah blah. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was what he did. So I thought I could share
Awesome.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back into that community. I think when it comes to community marketing, that Facebook, groups is definitely a powerful tool for
Yeah.
that, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's just say your clinic is like breaking even now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're over 500,000. Okay. So, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to make money now. Right. What percent should I be spending now, Neil?
Yeah. So percentage wise, there could be anywhere from 5 to 8%.
Okay.
Then you kind of like that keeps you in a growth mode, right? If you're on the lower end there, um, again, it depends on the type of clinic and the clinicians that you have. If you're able to build a super strong word of mouth, and if you're in that type of area that everybody knows everybody else, you can grow quite successfully there without that budget. If you're a much more competitive area, yeah, you have to put a bit more into your marketing to not only sustain you, but then be able to grow further.
So 5 to 8%. Wow. And so what else would you get them to do next then? Like, so I'm going to assume that those four things that we're doing, they're still doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what else would you get them to allocate, you know,
Yeah,
like what
so
should
obviously
be
you've got your
next?
online stuff that you're doing, so websites, SEO, Google Ads, maybe
Yeah.
even social media advertising at that point. The key there is that once you're there, you should have net by now start to build out quite a bit of a customer list. So you want to make sure that you're trying to leverage your customer list as much as possible. So that's where email marketing really comes
Okay.
into play.
So this
Uh,
is your email marketing newsletters that you talk about, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a practice newsletter is really a powerful thing for you
Okay.
to keep telling the stories from within the clinic. So that can be, digital aspects. Maybe it's a good time to start looking at direct mail marketing to increase that word of mouth referrals with your customer
So
base.
the direct to mail is more for not new leads, but for your existing client base, right? Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's where we find the most success there is really working within your entire, customer base of past customers. If
And
they
what's
could.
what's the best postcard that seems to work the best? Like if I was to send it to like an existing like patient on my list, like what type of like what's my hook or an
Yeah, you know what? Seasonal stuff seems to work the best, right? And for example, like here in the US, most of our private insurance companies the year renews around anywhere from December to January. So like
Yeah.
a new cycle, right? And
Same
that
in
means
Canada
that,
too. Yeah.
yeah. So you're basically your benefits are going to start,
Yeah.
let's say January 1st, new benefits. So what we do is we actually send out a seasonal postcard. Hey, if you've a lot of times they may have come in the beginning of the year, or they've used part of their deductible to some other medical expense, but it's like, hey, you've got these unused visits,
Yeah.
use them up, right? Come on in, right? You could be
Okay.
no cost to you potentially, right? So those kind of seasonal type postcards seem to do very well.
So that's a good Q4 one, right? Like that's a
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Yeah, and
What?
then for the new year, people start to
Yeah.
think about their health. So we like to launch what we call a new year, new you postcards. So getting people to think about, hey, you want to hit your goals, you want to get out of pain, you want to be, more fit, more healthy, come see us, right? So that kind of message seems to resonate really well at the beginning of the year.
And is there an offer or just like come see us? Is it like
Yeah, it
is there?
depends on the clinic what they want to offer. So some may offer like an introductory screening. Some may say, "Hey, come in and you'll get a 30-minute massage." It just depends on the state that they're in, their laws and different
I bet you
settings.
the free massage would do very well, eh? It's just up to the owner doing it, right? Come in
Yeah,
for a
it's totally
massage.
up to what works for that owner.
But
What they
why would you do that? Like it's cheaper than a Google ad, if you pay your massage therapist to do it.
Yeah, it's great.
Right? Like if like $50 cost per acquisition,
Yeah,
pay your
yeah,
massage
or a
therapist
20
50
minutes
bucks.
20-minute stretch session, right? At your
Yeah.
stretch labs.
You're gonna start using that one. I know you,
I
right?
love it.
I give you $1 million idea.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
Then okay, cool, cool. And so email marketing, direct mail would be next, right?
Mhm.
And would it change once you start hitting 1 million or more? Or
The only thing that would change there is it would depend on the size of the clinic, right? If they start
doing
to
a
have
million?
multiple locations, those kind of things
Yeah,
start to like,
yeah, let's just say you're doing 1 million and you're doing 1 million and you have ambitions to do a couple more locations, right?
yeah, yeah. So one thing I see there is that um, because one of the things with multiple location clinics is they come to us and usually they have one or two clinics that are doing awesome, and then usually one or two clinics that are
Yeah.
underperforming a lot, right? And what's happened is that they open those clinic locations and they treat it just like their existing business, which is totally running fine, right, and well known in the area. But depending on how far away that other clinic is, it could be like starting a brand new clinic, right? It's really not known. It
Yeah.
takes some effort, right? So it's really making sure that with if you're expanding and adding another location or two, that you're really looking at, okay, what is my marketing plan and budget for that specific location, because I have to get that up and running. So I'm going to have to put more budget into that particular location, get up and running, Google ads,
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Okay. Yeah. So this is more about, yeah, it's adding more to do then you're back to cycle one again, like the
Yeah,
startup.
you
Yeah.
are. But the thing is, you do have that established brand, so it does make it easier, and you have a lot of processes in place.
Yeah.
But where I see clinics go wrong is that they just continue to operate as normal and just think they can open that location and everything's going to be taken off like a rocket. But
Yeah.
you have to
It's,
treat it like it's almost a brand new startup business.
yeah, I agree. That's super, super cool.
Mhm.
So, like Neil, you're a physical therapist, right? A
Yeah.
very passionate one. And I love how you pivoted into build this like massive marketing agency, right? That's adding crazy, crazy, value, for the profession. So you kind of have a crystal ball of like what's going on. So I'm super curious, where's the future for physical therapists given like everything that's going on right now, like
Mhm.
in the world, like we're living in a very uncertain world. Things are kind of crazy, and there's so much going on, like, with like declining reimbursements, like, you got allied healthcare is all competing with each other, you got stretch labs, pretending to be physical therapists everywhere, and then you got Dr. Ho selling TENS machines, and then you got, like Hyperice and all, like, what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and virtual kiosks where you don't even talk to people anymore. Like, what is the future, Neil, of our profession?
Well, I think the future is actually pretty bright, right? And I think it's easy to get on the doom and gloom train. You hear some of the things out there, but if you look at the whole big picture, what I love to see is that I think in as a whole, the general public has become more aware of health and
Yes.
investing in their health. And
Yes.
there's lots of opportunity in that. And that's why there's more competitors than ever before.
Yeah.
all these different stretch labs and different types of businesses opening up to fill the need there. So there's a ton of opportunity, and I see businesses that are being very successful if they're thinking in a way of how can I offer more than
Mm.
just standard cut and dry just physical therapy, for example, right? They're thinking outside the box. They're bringing all these ancillary services in. They're becoming multidiscipline.
Yeah.
um, those guys are rocking, right? And so there is a lot of opportunity out there
Yeah.
for uh, practice owners that start to think in a way of how can I service more of these type of direct to consumer markets out there.
I love that, Neil. Um, yeah, everything you just said, like totally, nailed
Yeah.
it.
I mean, we
Um,
know the medical model is failing, right?
yeah,
The traditional, like, go see your doctor and he's going to tell you everything to do. Like, that's
yeah,
changed over the years, right? And so people are looking to they're more of their own advocate for their health.
yeah. I think
So
this is
you
the
got to meet
best
them
thing
where
that
they're at.
COVID like did for society, right?
Hmm.
Is I know it was a lot of pain for clinics during that time, but it actually like brought forward like everyone's like attention to like mental health and physical wealth and well-being. I don't think
Yeah,
this was an ever priority ever before. But for the
you're
first time
100% right.
ever,
Yeah,
COVID made this happen. You
yeah,
know, it pushed tech forward 10 years, but I think also pushed health and wellness forward 10 years,
yeah. I totally agree with that.
which is amazing. And then it's interesting right now, Neil. Like when I look at our community, we work over 1,000 clinics in our community. There are like two camps. There are the haves and the have-nots, right? And like the haves are the people, the have-nots are the people that are fluctuating with the economy, right? Bad news, the clinic does bad,
Right. Yeah. The
GDP
more.
goes up, the clinic does well. And then there's
Yeah.
other clinics who are kind of embarrassed to brag how well they're doing. Because it's like, because they're growing like double digits, right?
Yeah.
And they're getting like record cash, record revenue, record everything. And it stems from them not only running a good business, but they also being like good at marketing, good at sales. Actually, this is why they're good, is because they're great with their marketing, generating leads. They're great with like making sure that when these leads come in, they convert them into an appointment. They're
Yeah.
amazing with the patient experience that this person stays, and they're also like outstanding with like staff experience, so they could keep people.
Right.
And that's kind of the recipe. But if you don't have one of those, you're kind of like you're gonna be part of the have-nots.
Yeah. But also, I think, and you teach this a lot, and that you see those people that are doing very well, they've become more of the business owner, right? They become more of the entrepreneur, where they're not working 50 hours of patient care and
Yes.
trying to run the business. So they've kind of pulled back from patient care. They're still probably doing patient care, but they're more becoming a business owner and focusing on parts of the business to make the business go.
Yeah, I love it. So you brought up something very like interesting. You talked about like the clinics that you see are doing well are adding more like new revenue streams, right? And in other cases, like multidisciplinary, right?
Hmm.
So let me ask you a question because like most of the clinics I work with, and I see this mostly in Canada and also in Australia, is that like they're big on multidisciplinary, So like the ideal clinic is like a $3-4 million. Let's just say it's a $3 million clinic.
Hmm.
1 million of that is like physio. 1 million is chiro, and 1 million is massage therapy. And those are three SEO keywords that people are like using intensely and I want. So it's not even a competition because someone's searching massage, I want massage. Someone's
Right.
searching physical therapy, I want physical therapy. Someone's searching chiro, I want chiro. You're not gonna like, it's not even competition.
Yeah.
Why is it that like, most of the clinics like in the US when it comes to multidisciplinary, it's so kind of behind, right?
Yeah.
Like
It
I
is.
feel like there's still that old school like,
Yeah.
real versus physical therapy thing and not doing what's best like for the patient because the patient is like, like I want to hear your thoughts about this.
It's changing, and that's a great thing. I think there's more openness. When I was graduating from school back in like 98, there was this kind of animosity, right, between chiros and physical therapists. Like, oh, chiros are terrible, right? And chiros will go, oh, physical therapy, right? So there was this kind of like old school, competitiveness, and no one valued each other. Well, I think it also comes out of that medical model that we've changed from, right? And so in the past, it used to be that, especially here in the States, is that you had to have a prescription to go to physical therapy from your doctor, right? So in physical therapy, you had to be within that referral, right? You couldn't get a person in from the streets. You had to send them back to the doctor first.
Yeah.
That's changed over the years, right? But there's still kind of that lingering, mentality there. And
Mindset,
from a
yeah.
chiropractic perspective, like they could all, for a long, many decades, they've been able to go, direct to the consumer. So they've been used to more direct to consumer marketing. So that kind of kept those separate. But again, I think,
How many years ago was that change, you think?
I would say that, probably the last 10 years that has started to
Yeah, but
change.
that's the same as like up north. No different. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's why is it like to me when I think about like I was like I'm like when I think about the States, it should be way more progressive, you know?
Yeah. But we'll say there's some lingering states that
Mm.
didn't get direct access until probably, a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Right. So that's still, they're still kind of coming out of that,
Yeah.
phase. It took a long time for them to be able to get that direct access part of
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
it's
And
changed a lot. Like I do see more and more clinics bringing in, other ancillary services there, and I think it is what the public really wants. They want to go to a one-stop shop, or they want to have all these
is
options.
what the consumer wants. They're really like you could just tell by Google. Like people are searching for chiropractic. Like the volumes for chiropractic is probably very similar to physical therapy. And then like you got massage, which is like off the charts, and then you got
Yeah.
naturopath. Like
Well, I would say
those
like
are
massage is off the charts. Chiro is much higher than physio and physical therapy, and then
yeah,
then you have physical physiotherapy. However, what we find is that, a lot of people, they mostly search by their condition, right? So they may not say, "Hey, I need to go see a chiropractor. I mean, need
yeah.
to go see a PT." It's like, "What can I do about this back pain?" That's their first query.
Wow. Cool. Awesome. Last question. We're gonna wrap up. So, Neil, if actually, yeah. So last question, Neil, is that like, why should they come to Clinic Boss Summit in Florida, Orlando, right? Come January.
Why not? This
Because
is
me
such
and
a
you are spending a full day, right?
Oh,
Talking,
we're going to be
we're gonna do
marketing.
marketing for a full day from like 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. We're gonna build out your complete like 2024 plan,
Yep. You're going to come
We're
out
gonna
with a big, marketing machine, clarity. I think
yeah.
clarity, right? Because there's so many different things to think about in the business. We're talking from a marketing standpoint here, but there's challenges with the recruitment, right? Retention, all
Yeah.
these different areas here in the business. And so we're going to be covering
That's day
all of
two
that.
and three. Day
Yeah.
2 and 3 is gonna be about recruitment. It's gonna be about like retention, and then but day one, we're doing a full day of marketing. And so if you love this show and what we talked about, we're gonna go really deep and give you something very practical so you have actionable takeaways so that you could do yourself or you could do it with like an agency, right? So it's going to be that practical. So everyone like check in the show notes or the link below and sign up for the summit. And yeah, it's going to be January the 25th to the
27.
27th
Yes. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Orlando,
And
Florida, right?
yeah, in Orlando, so nice and warm and sunny at that time of year, and you're going to be able to connect with hundreds of other practice owners. So great networking and collaboration opportunities there,
Yeah.
at the event.
Yeah. And Neil and I are co-hosting this together for the first time, so I'm
Yeah, super
excited.
excited for
So
that.
yeah, Neil, thanks for being on the show. And
Thank you, Rick.
yeah, and so what is the best way for people to find you, Neil? So
Yeah,
people
just
don't know who you are. Yeah.
great thing is just go to practicepromotions.net. Check us out online. There's great useful tips on our website for marketing your practice. And if you want to chat with us, there's a way to look at our instant demo and start to connect with someone.
Okay, cool. We'll see everyone next week on the Clinic Boss Show. See you, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Rick.